Well, and good morning, everybody. My name is Sean Wheat, executive producer for Local News Live, this new national channel that's going to be on your digital channels here coming up soon. Here, based out of Omaha, we have got a full staff. We've got some great people from all across the nation who are going to be providing that for you. We're going to touch on that a little bit. One thing I do want to emphasize is that this is for your OTT desk itself, not for what the OTT is going to do, not what local news. We'll touch a little bit on what local news live is going to do, but we are going to mainly focus on how to actually operate the desk itself. We've got Chris Lang on the phone. He is with JVC. I say on the he's on the Teams meeting as well. He is going to help us out with any technical questions anybody might have, concerns, or we'll try to touch on that a little bit later. And then also we have Brian Sinclair from WOIO, who has been doing this for a while as well out of his station. Before we get started, if you guys have not been using your OTT desks yet, I would highly recommend you watch WOIO and also watch the Tyler, Texas station, because they have been doing a lot of stuff with their OTT desks for a while and have really mastered the whole system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to...
Hey, Sean, let's go ahead and mute everybody, and then you can go ahead and... I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone, Sean. This is Steph. And then go ahead and unmute yourself, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Sean. Yep, good.
All right, I appreciate that. Yes, I was just about to do that, and you got it before I did there, Steph. I appreciate
No worries
it.
at all. You bet.
All right, so the main thing is we want you to know how to use your OTT desk, because I know a lot of stations have it in place already, but some have been like, well, how do I use it? And others have it being installed at the moment. This is going to be a key part of what we do here in Omaha, because if you don't know what Local News Live is we are basically taking your live feeds and we are basically putting them out all over the nation at all of our gray stations. And so we want you to anchor your own coverage, and then we give it to the nation instead of us anchoring it, because I'm in Omaha. I don't know what Tallahassee's doing. I don't know what Wichita's doing. I don't know what any of the other, or what Honolulu's doing. So we want you to tell the stories. We're going to just kind of be the vessel to do that for the nation. So we want you to use your OTT desk to pipe that signal through to us. But we got to make sure you know how to use this system, and that's the key. Now, as you can see here on the screen, ours looks a lot different than yours in a sense, because we have 6 channels and 6 cams as it is, and you guys only have 4. So let's just pretend cam 5 and cam 6 don't exist here. And I know that the logo, the overlay, CG, ingest are on the left-hand side for you all. So if you haven't looked at your screen, please do so. I think that's one of the biggest things when it comes to utilizing your JVC and learning it is actually just getting back behind the desk and learning it yourself and touching buttons, messing with things, find out how the PMP works, how the split works, because until you physically get back here, you won't have the touch knowledge, because it's all basically, if you ever been in radio, you know that this is going to turn up the volume, this is going to turn on that microphone, this is going to turn on that source. It's the same thing. You're not just up here to talk anymore. You're actually physically doing it all yourself. And so with the JVC, I know a lot of you stations had received 2 cameras. I'm going to give a little bit of a tip. Generally, if you want more sources available to you, and so I would say only hook up one of those cameras and leave the rest of leave cam 2, cam 3 on your router, so you can bring in 2 router sources, and then cam 4 for your Mac Mini. That's just my suggestion. Mind you, you can do it however you want, however the workflow is based for you. I found that the easiest for me when I was doing it at IBW. And Brian, I got Brian Sinclair here. Brian, would you agree? I mean, do you guys have a 4-channel? Is that how you guys have your setup, or how do you have yours set up?
We absolutely only use 1 camera. We have several that are available, but to your point, you just want as much the ability to route as much as you can into your live stream. So the 1 camera works really well for us.
All right, thank you so much, Brian. And so the thing is you want to be able to go to multiple sources at once. Like today, as a prime example, there are protests in multiple areas. You could be on your OTT desk with those protests, pulling up the DC protest and your local protest same time. Put them in picture if you want to. There's a lot of content out there nationally you can put on, and locally in your communities that you could put on a news conference. Like, for example, if you're in a capital city, you've got governor's news conferences, you've got secretary of state news conferences, or even if in your local community, if you're not in a state capital, you've got a sheriff doing a news conference, you've got be an event of some sort that's really cool. Take a TVU with you. If you don't have a TVU available to you, then take your TVU phone. And that's one thing is the TVU Anywhere is a great application to utilize. So when there were protests in Topeka, we had a TVU in multiple locations, so we could have taken multiple locations at once because we had multiple router sources. So I would highly recommend that take a TVU with you to any news conference, utilize your OTT desk, and go live. And let us know about it when you do, so we can put it up here too, because it's all about local here at Local News Live. So let's go and go over the basics of your system. As I said, you've got mainly 4 of these camera inputs. You've got camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and camera 4. Camera 1, if you have it set up the way I suggested, it will just be your camera. 2 and 3 will be on your router, and then 4 will be your Mac Mini. We here have utilized the ingest for our Mac Mini, so we have that capabilities. But if you are using an outside CG program, you can bring that in through the ingest as well, and that will work just fine. But but it's all set up. The CGs are already set up for you. And if you haven't received your graphics package yet for your JVC, make sure you put in a request through Gray Connect and get that submitted to the digital team, the graphics team, excuse me, so they can get that created for you and input it into your JVC. Even if you don't have your JVC set up, now is a good time to say, hey, we're getting it set up. Can you get that graphics package started for us? The other thing is your logo. If you see here the button I'm clicking is the logo. They have the capability of creating an animated logo for you. Ours is always going to be here on the left side, so hopefully you have yours on the right. And then so I stole this from Brian Sinclair when I was at IBW, but we had a bar created at the bottom that actually rotates between our digital channels. It's basically like a little ticker, but it promotes your social media platforms. They can create that for you. There's a template they based off of the one that I had them create that they can make for you real easy. So you can also include that you want the logo included with the ticker included with your logo, and that will all be one file. And so let's go ahead and go over it. This JVC is very simple. It's touchscreen. I say it's very simple. It's simple for me, but once you actually get back here and start doing it, it is very simple. You could just use your finger and click the source you want. This is a touchscreen. You have your touchscreen set up. So let's say, again, I'm on camera 1 right now. I want to go to camera 2. I'm on camera 2 with a touch of the button. So you could do this. You could just glance down. Oh, I need to go ahead and go to the next camera. I need to go to the next source. And you can do it hopefully seamlessly just by doing a brief glance and touching the screen. And now we know in Georgia, currently they are doing counting. So there's that source. I want to put in a lower third, I can. And so that's the CG we had up yesterday. That they're just, you have so many capabilities by just going through and touching and playing and having fun with the system. And I don't know if Yep, it's working there. Let me see. So that's how you basically switch between the sources in your on your screen. Now you can put in a direct cut, you can do crossfade, you can do a transition, and you have the capability of choosing what type of transition by utilizing your mouse, holding down on that icon, and it'll bring up the different options for you. We've also got the direct cut, which is really simple. It's a direct cut, boom, it's there. You've got a crossfade. If you want to, you can change the duration, so it's a slower crossfade if you want to. And then, as I said, the transitions. The next up is going to be, well, how do I put a picture in picture? It's really simple. I keep saying it's really simple, and I apologize because I keep thinking it's really simple for me. But for you, if you just hold down on the P&P, you can bring up the options for your picture in picture. So this is one that I've utilized a lot, is this screen where it's me and A, See how B is lit up here? I could choose B. And then generally the background you want to be either your election background, if it's during elections like right now, or your station background. When you do select your background, there is a little arrow over here. You've got to make sure that it's turned into a circle so it repeats itself, and then you click on that source. And once you have that ready, you hit go live. Set this up before your live event because it's very difficult to set it up while you're going. So I would say set it up. Once you click a source, like again the main screen, and you're like, oh, I want to go to picture-in-picture, it's just one tap. If that's not set up beforehand, you actually have to set it up while you're in the middle of your live. Same thing with the split screen. You hold down on the split screen. So I want to do the side-by-side. Here's me. Here's this. Hit go live. And it's going to go live. Set this up beforehand because if you don't, you're going to have set up in the middle. And it is literally going to take the center of the screen. So if you got an off-center camera shot, like you're over here, for example, if I'm over here, it's not going to look right if I go to split screen because I'm over here on the side. You got to make sure it's centered up on what the subject is. So there's that. There's our fine folks over there in Texas. Yes.
Just real quick, I just want to re-emphasize that background thing and making sure that you loop it, because that was something that in the early going that really burned us a couple of times where we either forgot to do it, or if you accept new media, it kind of loses the loop thing, and you have to go back and loop it if you make a new background, a new split box while you're doing it live. And so one of the things that we did just to kind of cover ourselves in case we did forget to do it is in the settings you can set the no signal default picture to actually be your background, so that if you accidentally forget to do it and it runs out, it'll default to still your look rather than to say no. I forget what the default is. Maybe Chris Lang remembers, but it says like no signal, or there's a black screen, or there's a JVC icon or something like that. So that was a quick trick that we learned just to kind of cover ourselves.
Great advice, and I would highly recommend that as well. And that's something I'm glad you brought that up. I got to get that done here too. So, well, it's right here under if you go to your settings cog, it's the wheel, and you click on appearance, this, and then click on background, which is this right here. Then you can change it. It could be a PNG file, and just set it in there. And yeah, if you do forget to set the repeat on your background, it will change that. So that great advice. You can also change the color of your split screen, the middle bar, and you can actually change its width. And then for the picture-in-picture, the boxes itself, you can actually change the color and the width of that box as well through that same setting there. So we've gone through basically the side. Well, for you guys, the top ones here, we've gone through the side. When the side stuff, the logo, the overlay, the CG, the ingest, something to remember is if that box is red, it's live. If it's not red, it is not live. The only thing is you got to make sure, like with these overlays here, if this box is red and you go in and you try and you want like, oh, I need this overlay right here, then it's going to play it if you click on it. You got to make sure that box is unclicked before you do it. So before I get to the overlays, let me go through the side screen here with media. Replays is not on a lot of your devices, so I'm not going to go over that. Playlists and CG. So the media, if you have, if your JVC is set up, you have a folder where you can actually drop files from your server into the JVC, and then you could play it out. Now, the only thing is when you play audio out of your JVC, if it's wired to the new specifications through Gray, where basically it goes, all your audio in the Behringer, and then it goes into the JVC and then out from the JVC to your router or wherever it may be, then your media that you play from the JVC will not go through the audio board, the Behringer audio board. You have to do it through your audio settings here under the media. So if I tried to play out a clip right now, it wouldn't work unless I have this turned up. That's the only drawback to this new setting, but it's the best way that we've come up with the audio settings, so you can also Facebook Live from your JVC on top of stream to your devices. So, and then also it eliminates some of the delay with the camera. to the audio. So back to the media, you drop in those files. And so you can select where your media is coming from through this. So if you've got a shared server, like ours is on a shared server right now, and we have a folder that says to JVC. So you just click on that and hit open it. So in the media directory itself, you can drop in any of those files. We've been dropping in the MPG files. We have done MP4 files. And they will convert and play. If I think QuickTime, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, QuickTime is also, or a movie file you can play in this now. If you're on, Chris. I don't think he's on at the moment. But I think a movie file is acceptable now. You'll have to test that. I haven't tested that just yet. Moving on. So you've got your media, and what you do to play it, if you want to loop it, you can. But generally, it's going to be a package, and all you do is you click on the media, and it plays. And if you want to preview it before, you can hit that little eyeball there, make sure it's the right clip, and then once you're like, okay, that's what I want, play it here. The one thing I would suggest is that you do not overload your media. When you are done with that file, delete it right away, because you don't want this list to get too large, because you get too many files in there, you're going to lose something. You're going to be searching for it more than you're actually going to be up here talking. So I would suggest delete the files as quickly and as soon as you can. So again, it's just click, play. Once it's done, you see this little box here over here in cam 1, it's going to auto cut. So once this clip is done, it's automatically going to come to camera 1. Now you can change it. So let's say this clip is playing. I don't want it to come to camera 1. I want it to come to camera 2. So I'm going to click over here to the auto cut button, and it's going to now auto cut to this camera right here. And it's got a countdown there for you too, so you know how long you've got. And then bam, there we are. You can again drop in those files. You can rearrange them through the up and down button. And so it's basically like a little playlist for you. Like I don't want this at the top. I want my open at the top. I know this clip's going to be next. I know this clip's going to move down here. You can move those around as necessary, so it's easier for you to be able to find what you need and put it into like a running order if you have several clips that you're going to do. Replays, again, not going to go over that. Playlists, again, you can create a playlist into the system. I don't use it very often. And that's something that Chris Lang, and there's a little bit more training, but the playlist is available. You can load a project and drop some clips in under the media. And Brian, maybe you could talk about this more. I know you've played some packages on your OTT desk. Do you use playlists a lot, or how do you go about using it?
We really don't use the playlist a lot. I think your advice about keep that media list as lean as you can is a very good advice. You'd be amazed, something that was so easy to find when you're not live, all of a sudden when you are live, you can't find that darn thing to save your life. So if you have just as few clips in there as possible, that's really the best way that we found to do it. The playlist we've used, if we had something that we had like 5 or 6 elements that didn't need to be interrupted, that we just wanted to play back to back, we've created a playlist so that we can just hit play once and just let them roll through. But I would say we've maybe used it 2 or 3 times tops. Most of the time we just stay in that media folder.
In an emergency situation, I know that some of our stations down south had actually utilized their JVC to do their newscasts. The playlist would be a prime example of how you would want to do that. So let's say in the media file, once you go to playlists, you can load a project or create one. And once you create a project, you will just click on the media that you want, this little plus button. It will actually add it to that playlist that you created. You just click on it. Then you go in the playlist and you tell it where you want it to go. It's just like this media folder here. So, but as Brian said, and as we like to emphasize, this is mainly for you to go live. This is mainly for you to use live events. So hopefully you're doing more live events than you are playing packages and audio. So you've got you can load a project, you can create a project, so you can load the videos into, so you can make sure the right videos are in a certain area. But again, try not to use it as much as possible, just because also if you overload it, it can slow down your system a little bit. Overlays are really cool. This is basically, it's a stinger. That's all it is. It's a stinger that you can transition back and forth to different things. So once you have your graphics package created by Gray, the Gray graphics team, then what you can do is they'll load these onto your JVC for you. Then you just click on this little down arrow and you select what you want for what stinger. So we've got several ones for different media and different. We got update, we got national news, we got weather, we've got breaking news, of course. So you can have as many stingers created as you want. I know for IBW, for WIBW, we created a live one. We had them create a breaking news one, and just a couple others. So you just make sure you really think about what stingers you use the most, and then make your request so they can create them for you. All right. So the overlay again, the box, if it's lit up, if it's not lit up, but you still have the preview here, when you actually click it, it will play that overlay for you. And you unclick it, select your next overlay or your next stinger. Once you do, there it is. If you don't, again, if you just click it, oh, there it plays. So just make sure that doesn't burn you. Make sure that's unchecked or that's unhighlighted before you actually go into it.
Hey, Sean, this is Chris.
Yes.
Yeah, just very briefly, when you guys have the overlays loaded into your systems and you come into this screen, you may not see them there. If you do not see the overlays that were loaded in, just click Load All, and then in the drop-down, you will see all of those.
Thank you very much, Chris. And yes, and they will drop in. So, like, we've got our elections, we've got an elections one, and we've got a weather alert one. So I'd say make sure you get a weather one too. Weather is huge, obviously, in a lot of our markets. So thank you, Chris. And then here's the big one, the CGs. The CGs are very, well, they can be great and they can be difficult. So it just depends on the day. Because if you're in a live event and you don't know who's going to be talking, you're literally going to be typing this stuff as you go. And that's okay. Hopefully you're not on screen when you have to do the typing. But if you know who's going to be talking, make sure you build these CGs ahead of time. So, excuse me, when it comes to your CG project, when Gray uploads them, there's the demo, and then there's, they're going to probably put in a little project name like we have here, the Gray LNL JVC. It'll be your station name. This is all of your templates, every single one that you need. Do not edit these. Do not mess with these. Do not go in and change the text, because what's going to happen is you may be on this project and you accidentally delete one and it's gone. You're going to have to figure out a way to bring it back in. So my suggestion is for you under CG project. So again, we got all the CGs. Here's all the templates. You click on CG project here and you create one for each individual who is going to be using your JVC. Or if you're you or one of the persons doing it most of the time, you can do it by event. So like in the state capitol, it's going to be the governor and a couple other people. Like every week, you can get that set up and create your own little folder. So once you have some folders created here, then you're actually going to you're going to find the one you want. And for shoots and giggles here, I know that CG is a first name, last name, location. It's really simple. That's not the one I want. This one has the topic bar here. That's the one I'm going to want. So if you click on the little plus button here, it will copy it over to a project, and you can put it in any of those projects here. I'm sorry, not that button. I'm terribly sorry. The plus button on that file. There we go. That's where you can add it to a CG project name. And once you get your CG project made and you have the templates over to the CG project, then you click on CG project and then you click on the one. I'm going to choose Gwen's just for right now. So she's got a whole bunch over here. This is great. This is what she needs. So I know I want to find, again, there's a breaking news one. Here's a regular one with a live bug. I need to find that topic bar. The topic bar one. There it is. Okay, so that's the one I'm going to want, but I want to keep this kind of in here too, and I'm going to have two of them. So if you want to make two, you can. There's a little box, it's the third box over, which you could copy, and it will copy that. So we've got lower third base with tab and the lower third base with tab copy. You can start editing both of these. Now, if you don't want to pop up the screen, you can hit the little eyeball here, and it'll kind of give you a little indicator of what it's going to look like. But if you want to change the text, there are the slider bars here that look like an audio board. That's how you change the text. You can change the text here, but it's not going to change the text on the actual CG itself. This is just where you can, at a glance, know that this is going to be lower third base with tab Governor Kelly. So I know that this is going to be the one for Governor Kelly. So once I get that, I cancel there, and it's froze up on me. There we go. Once I get that done and I change that, I unclick the pencil so it stays that name. And then if you click on the slider bars here button, this is where you're going to do your text editing. This first screen is the background. Don't touch anything here. Leave it alone. Don't mess with it. So text one, I know it's going to be first and last name, and it's going to be Governor Laura Kelly. And obviously she has a title or location. I would honestly, a name and title. You know how you do it at your station. Stick with your station standards on CGing. So I know she's the Democrat from Kansas. And then I got the topic bar there. I know this is going to be the COVID-19 update. And that's the topic. Once that's all done and said, hit apply, hit save. Once it saves, it's going to back you back out to your CG screen. So again, with the CGs, back to that box, the CG box over here, if it's highlighted, the CG is going to be in. So if you click on any of these boxes, it's going to pop up there. Make sure that you got the right CG selected. I got the Governor Kelly one done, and I'm ready to put it in. Click the button. There is Governor Laura Kelly, Kansas, COVID-19 update. Take it out, just unclick it. Or if you want, you can, if you're like, okay, I know I need to go to another CG, I've got it ready, you can unclick it here and click on the next one there. Or just go straight to it. All right, so that's how you do lower thirds. You've got several different options. You can create headline ones. You can create, you could have Greg create some specific lower thirds for you. So make sure you make that in your request through Greg Connect. Brian, am I missing anything on CGs?
No, they also have a ticker option, which we've used a couple of times where we just have so much information that it's not going to fit on a super, and so you can kind of build that and fool around with that. We've used that a few times.
Hey, Sean, Lance in Birmingham, can you show me how to add a lower third? Like, show me how to add a CG that when you've already got a line up here. Would you show me what I need to do to just insert one?
Just to put it in on the screen itself, or to edit it?
To lay it into this this list of CG project, to have it set up before you go live, so you can have it ready to go. How are you adding a CG line?
Again, when you create, so if the CGs are already created and you've already got your template in, is that right?
Right. Well, actually, no. Adding a template, a blank template into this rundown of CGs that you've got here.
Sorry, I was muted. So you don't have what you've got is you've created a CG. You want to put it into your templates and then utilize it. Is that what you're asking? Sorry.
No, you're correct. I'm looking at this list of CGs here, and you've got this line in the CG project, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I can see right now. If I wanted to add one if I wanted to add one between your bullet space and your lower third there at the top, how can I add one to it? I know how to reorder, but how do you add it at that point? Add a new one.
Sure. You just copy the one you want. So again, this is the template. I'm going to go to a different CG project here. But so let's say you want to create one like the same exact one that you've got here. You like the same outlet without the title bar. All you do is you click on this little little button here. It's going to copy that same CG and see where it says Graham Olkin's blue copy. That's your new one. So all you do is then you go in and you edit the text that you want, and then hit save. And then you go to text 1, text 2, text 3 at the top to change those text fields.
Okay, I got you. I know you talked about that a second ago. I was just a little unclear. So it's the third button over and the little picture, the little copy icon. Cool. Thank you.
So yeah, the first button here is to add it to a CG sequence. So if you are building out CGs, you can add it to a sequence for like a segment or something like that if you have multiple segments that you're wanting to do, which we'll get into that here in a moment. And then you've got the slider bars here button, which is how you actually edit the text itself. You've got the two buttons, the two box button here, which copies the CG and makes a copy of what you've got here. And then the add button, which adds it to another project if you want to. Then you've got the rearranging, and then you have the trash can there to delete it. So, and yes, the crawl system, I will agree with Brian. I've used it myself in a breaking news situation, and you kind of have to play around with it before you use it, because the background will show up, the text will scroll through really slow, then the background will go away or the text will go away. So make sure you play with that before you actually utilize it. I don't foresee us using it here, but you never know. You do have other capabilities like timers and scores. Gray hasn't built anything, but if you have if you're doing like a sports show, you can set one of those up. I would suggest playing with it. You got a timer option too. So if you're doing like a fast paced, you've got 2 minutes, go, and you can put it at the timer. You sure can. Could I go over the auto cut again? Yes, it does have the basic template. Thank you very much, Chris. And so over the auto cut, and I apologize. When you say the auto cut, is it when you go between sources, or which?
Play the media, and it has the auto cut selection back to the source.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Loss of memory there. Okay, so when you play a media file here, all you do is, like, let's say this media file is playing. Up here on your cam sources, it's got the auto cut. The one that's red, as you can see on my cam 2 here, it's red and it's got the countdown there. I know it's going to go to that it's going to automatically go to that source. I don't want it to go to that source. I want it to go to cam 3 instead. I can click on the auto cut text, and it's going to make sure that cam 3 is going to be the one that goes to it. Rachel, to answer your question, who do we need to reach out to in order to get to the Gray graphics package? You need to go ahead and go to Gray Connect, go to graphics, and there's a little button there that has request a graphics package, and I can show you that here in a moment.
Just on that auto cut, just make sure you click on the very bottom of the screen where it actually says auto cut, because if you click on the top, it's just going to punch that source live, which we've been burned by in the early going a lot.
Yep. Good pointer. Anna, to confirm, when we receive this program, we don't have our OTT station set up. I assume it will include basic templates that we can format. Anna, yes, but I would honestly suggest that you request that graphics package as soon as possible, the one that complements your on-air look. So when your JVC is set up, they can automatically go in, drop in those templates, and they're there for you. But yes, there are some other templates, as Chris mentioned. There are some other templates on the JVC that you could utilize and create some custom ones if you need to. So if you have thank you, Stephanie, for providing that link. So if you have a Christmas program, you don't want to put up your own CGs, or you're doing it for a charity event, yes, you can create some different ones under the CG system, CG project. Generally, we've deleted it here, but there is a demo version of the CGs, which you can click on the CG projects, and they'll have some templates in there for you to utilize. And I Let me hit cancel there. Any other questions since we've gone over the CG? I'm going to kind of go over the settings portions here in a moment, but any questions on CG? I love JVC, or I love our graphics team for creating this for in a pinch. The headline, the full screens are great, but I've taken another tip from Brian Sinclair. Is I could create in Photoshop the full screen. It doesn't have the animated background, but I could create a full screen real quick, or I could have somebody create a full screen, and then it can be dropped into a file on the Mac Mini and then pulled up whenever I want. So anybody could do it at any moment, drop it into a file, pull it up full screen on the Mac Mini. There it is. It's great. I would highly suggest that if you have help with somebody working on your JVC. If not, the full screen, creating a full screen on the JVC is a little difficult, because if you put in too many letters, then it starts to cut off, and it's hard to double check. Sometimes it can be a little cumbersome. So I would highly suggest doing that beforehand. If you need to use the one on the JVC, if not, create it in Photoshop and send it to yourself as a JPEG file and pull it up that way. Any other advice on a full screen there, Brian, from you?
The other thing that we've done, we actually did this so that our field crews could kind of mimic our graphic look without having to request anything from an artist, is we've created a PowerPoint template that has our full screen, so all the text boxes are in the right place, and you can literally just make a slideshow on PowerPoint and then present it on the Mac and run through graphics. And it's just, like you said, it's a little cumbersome to type it in JVC. It's much easier to do it on a computer, just in PowerPoint or Photoshop, and make it a picture. But yeah, there's ways to get around it.
Now, Charles, to answer your question, he assumes there's a way to get WeatherMax onto the system of the JVC. Yes. If your WeatherMax, which honestly, if it's on air, it's on the router, you just have to figure out what source it is and route it into Cam 3 or Cam 4 for you, Cam 2 or Cam 3 if you're just using the one. And then you could theoretically also take, you can sit there with a laptop, or not the laptop, or if you use your iPad per se and do the switching between slides, and you can switch between slides on your iPad from the OTT desk and then have your Macs in system. And then maybe Jeremy Goodwin and I had done a couple of things weather-wise, and he would actually be at the green screen in the studio, which we put the studio through the router, because it's on the router, and we put it into Cam 3. So he was doing green screen stuff while I was at the OTT desk, and we were doing back and forth with an IFB system. So you can bring in any source if it's on your router and you have your router hooked up to Cam 2 and Cam 3, or maybe Cam 3 and Cam 4, however you have it for your station. You can bring it into the JVC, and it will be available for you to utilize. How do I get the movie graphics? Again, Brittany, it is, if you go to that order form, you can get Gray to create any specific graphics you want. You just have to make sure that you make that request, and they'll drop it in for you. Try to give them a couple of weeks here to create it, though. They're doing a lot of projects for me, a little selfish there, but because we're getting ready to launch. But they're doing graphics for all of Gray too, so give them time. Try to get those created ahead of time if at all possible. Yep, it's on the router. So yeah, good question though, Charles. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me give you some examples here. And I hate to keep pointing at IBW, but we used this last spring some major flooding, and we had the chance to have Weather do. I was live on the desk. Weather was doing weather updates. We were getting people submitting pictures through our Burst app or through the Burst gallery, and we were able to basically bring up video from the Burst, because those are cleared since somebody's uploaded. And then we had the weather guys reacting to some of the flooding video we were getting, and on top of that, we had folks after seeing that would upload their weather photos. So we were getting real-time weather photos coming in, and so we would pull up the radar and, like, okay, this person over 21st of Washburn is showing us some flooding. If you look here, it did get a significant amount of rainfall on the WeatherMax. So the split screen is perfect for that opportunity where you can bring up your, let me do another picture-in-picture. And you can actually edit the picture-in-pictures now through your software. And Chris, I'll let you touch up on that a little bit. But here, the one that I see Brian use a lot and that I've used a lot here is this one here. Here's, let's say this is going to be your WeatherMax. B is going to be you, and then don't forget your background has got to be the media. Route it, click it, go live. The weather map could be here in the large one, and you could have your meteorologist here talking about it. It's really cool because you can have your weather map and your meteorologist at the same time talking. It's great to have and utilize. So I would definitely recommend that you play around and test these things out. But again, you can change the picture-in-picture. And another great option for you is your picture-in-picture. You could actually do it to where you have your weather map in, I'm going to make this the weather, or I messed up. Here's me. My weather map is in B, go live. So I could be here and I could be showing just over here is a little bit of Riley County or something like that. So you get on here, play around, see which picture-in-picture works best for you, set it up beforehand and go with it. It's really cool how whether you doing a Facebook Live isn't just you sitting at the weather desk using that webcam. You can actually get on here, do some great Facebook Lives, utilize your graphics, and even if you need to, you could go a little even further and get in front of the green screen if you wanted to. So it's a lot of fun, especially if it's not like a major severe weather event, like you would go wall to wall or do cut-ins, but it's significant enough where you're like, I want to update people on what's going on. You could do that from the JVC. It has. I will give you another tip is during winter weather, for some reason, and Eric Ives at IBW and I have experienced this, if we just put a camera on the dash and drive around, people will eat that up. They will watch it forever and ever, and they just love it because they're not wanting to get out, and you're taking the risk so they don't have to. I would say that all the time. So I would say if you've got a weather vehicle with the cameras on it, utilize it a lot on your JVC. People want to see what those roads look like. Morning shows, prime example. Just have that streaming. You don't have to have audio. You could actually put up a CG saying driving the streets of Tallahassee and then put no audio under there so they know there's no audio. You're just driving. So or if you've got a reporter out there with them, they could do, if it's on the TVU system, they could do a little bit of a talk back too and explain what the roads are like and just keep going. So people love that and they will watch it forever and ever. Honest to goodness, they love that stuff. There's a little bit of advice.
So Sean, this is Chris. So I will put up a video on the Dropbox about how to change the picture-in-picture and split screen. Give me about a week and a half as I don't have a unit at the moment to do that video with, but as soon as I get a unit, I will put a video up in the Dropbox for everybody to know how to change the picture-in-picture and split screen.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate that. And that's actually a new piece of tech for the JVC users. Is that something that a lot of gray stations had requested? And sure enough, JVC came up with an option. So if you've been upgrading your JVC, or if you haven't gotten one yet, we'll get that video to you so you can check it out. But it's a new option for you. Let's see. We are doing good on time here. Let me start going over. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the chat or say something. We'll take some more questions here at the end. But
okay, and I have about 15 more minutes if there's any questions for me.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Chris. If anybody has any questions for Chris, please put them in the chat. We'll get to them here really quick. The JVC is obvious. The JVC button here lets you change your camera. So if you have a connected camera, like the ones we have, the JVC cameras that are robotic, you can actually change all the settings here. You can connect it. You can set up your stream settings, but you generally don't have to worry about all those. Your zoom control, pretty self-explanatory. You zoom. You can change the lens to wide. You can pan, tilt. You can make the focus auto, manual. It's all there for you. The presets are really cool too. So let me get onto the camera here. We've got presets. I'm going to go to this one here. We've got 3 presets set up on camera 2 here. To set a preset like this, I really like this shot. I hit set and then you hit the preset number. And once you get your preset set, you're pretty much golden. So we've got the producer desk. We've got the anchor desk here. We've got the touchscreen over here. So you set up your presets. They're very handy when you need them in a pinch. And you can set the speed so it's really quick or really slow. It's up to you on how fast you want to make that. Thank you, Chris, for sharing your email too. So again, set it and forget it, as you know the saying. But you can also clear them out. You can clear one out and create a new one if you need to. Cam 3, Cam 4, you don't have to worry about. Or the other cams you don't have to worry about because those are, again, your sources.
Just real quick, Sean, one thing to touch on
Yeah.
while we're talking about presets is that the shading and everything that you can set up with the camera, if you get that all set just before you hit that preset button, the shading and everything else will take effect when you hit the different presets. So if you have an area that needs more light or less light, you can make those adjustments right before you hit your preset or save your preset, and then those will be forever saved in the camera.
Good point there, Chris. And one of the other things too is if you are like, this preset's going to be the one I use forever, under the cog in general, you see over here, you've got save, save as default, and load. These are the settings. So generally, it's only a couple people utilizing it. Save as default before you quit or shut down your JVC, so it reverts back to how you had it. And so that will save all your presets, everything. It's all right there for you. Okay, Shelby, I think this problem, do you have your audio running through your JVC? So you've got your audio board. Is that audio board running into cam 1 or into the cam sources on your JVC? Because you have to have the Behringer audio running to your JVC. It's just like, and Mike Foss has got a couple of folks actually have the audio set up. There was an original version of the audio and the wiring, and now there's a new one where the original one didn't route it through the JVC, the audio that is. Now now the new one routes the Behringer through the JVC, and that's how you get your audio in.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how our audio is routed or anything like that. I just know that we were using, we had the 3 separate monitors, the Mac, the one that the OTT had, but then there's also another one that we have. And we had our Facebook Creator Studio on that one doing a test live or whatever, and it wasn't getting the audio that was trying to be submitted through the OTT system. It just wasn't picking up that audio, and we didn't know if it was the OTT program or if it was the Facebook or anything like that, because on our end, the volume was working through our programming monitor where we were testing everything.
So if are you utilizing the streaming program, the streaming here on
Yes.
JVC itself? Okay, so if you click on your audio and you don't see anything coming through programming like I do, I see audio here, but if you've got nothing going through programming, it's not going to show up on your Facebook Live at all. So
now,
what you have to do is go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have anything coming through program at any point in time, not just for Facebook Live or anything. Like, I'm seeing your audio levels on the I believe it's the left side of the screen where I'm looking at, and that's never gotten any green, red, or yellow levels. We just don't. It's always at 0, no matter what we have playing.
Yeah, you're more than
All right,
likely
so
on the old audio system, the old audio wiring. So, and sorry, Chris, did you say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Shelby, if you can send me an email, we can take this and I can remote into your system and give you guys a hand. But Sean is right. There's the original way that everybody wired up all their systems, and then a couple people experienced an issue. So we have a new workflow, if you will, that we'll be sending out to everybody in another week or so with a fresh new software version that should alleviate some of these issues. But it sounds like you guys need to get your audio into the box in a sense where it can come back out. So feel free to send me an email. We'll make some time for me to remote in with you guys and give you a hand.
Okay, will do. Thank you so much.
And yes, if your engineers and hopefully your digital managers are on the teams for the OTT desk rollout. If you're not, let me know. But there is a new drawing under there. This is something that we was brought up a long time ago as to why can't we get audio to Facebook Live, and we realized Shane McMurdo, he's also a good resource over at IBW, and I'm going to throw Shane under the bus. I don't think he's on the call, but he figured it out, and a couple other stations figured it out all at the same time. We were like, okay, we got to actually put the audio into the JVC for it to make it work on Facebook Live. Now, I will say, and the bosses, if they're watching, I've got to say, Facebook Live is not your moneymaker. Just remember that your moneymaker is your website. So if let's try to stream through our websites as much as possible. But
Good job, Sean. Good job.
Value of Facebook Live.
I love it.
So and then on top of that, make sure you have your JVC routed to your live link too. Okay, so let me go to the streaming really quick. So again, there's the audio issue. You got to make sure your audio is coming through at least one of these cam ports to get to Facebook Live. Under the settings cog, there is a streaming. So if you want to, you've got streaming destinations. It's blank right now, but if you want to add a destination, JVC has set it up for Facebook and for YouTube. They have it for Twitter, but you can obviously put in Twitter under other. So we've learned that the URL for Facebook, and many of you digital managers know this, you've got the actual physical URL, I think the STMP, I'd have to look. Let me pull up. It's been a while since I've had to stream to Facebook, so bear with me here. I should have had this prepared. That's what happens. And I'm going to just pull it up here.
Way to lead by example as to why you do this beforehand, Sean. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Comments are welcome. So I'm going to just, for example, use IBW. I'm not going to show that here. I will show the stream key here. So if you go to your normal way of setting it up and you hit go live, and I'm just showing this as an example here, under the Facebook content to stream, you've got, I would suggest using a persistent stream key at all times. The server URL is right here. That's where you would put under URL. Then you've got, and I just lost it. Where'd that screen go? There it is. Then you've got your stream key. Copy it, paste it into the stream name. Then you hit save. That's how you get the signal to Facebook. So, for example, I'm going to copy the URL, paste it into the JVC. I'm going to copy the stream key, delete the old stream key here, paste it in. And this is exactly the same way for Twitter too. They've got the URL, the streaming RTMP, and then they got the stream key. That's where it goes. For Twitter, it's YouTube, same thing. So hit save. I've now got a Facebook Live option under my streaming destination. So if I hit start on that, it's going to pop up a little yellow there. It's going to try to connect it. Once it is connected, it's going to turn green. I'm waiting for it to connect. It says green, so here's the live video. It's connecting the live video, and look at that, we're live on Facebook. And then you just hit start. You go through the normal processes of typing in your title, your text, and then you would cross-post to pages. Like, for example, on IBW, we would cross-post to KWCH for the governor's news conferences, and so that was really helpful. If you have multiple stations in one state, you can actually work together and stream that way. And you can actually ask Gray Digital folks, the Gray Graphics folks, to create a different logo. So under this layers section, you've got ingest and logo ingest. So you got an NDI ingest, and ours isn't working at the moment. So but here's where your logos are. You can actually they can create the logos for you. You could change it to where it's just your logo and the other station's logo. You can have special logos created for times. You can change the logo that is there. So, and it can be several different file formats, but ours currently, since it's an animation, is a VLC, so, or FLV, excuse me. But you can also do JPEG, but you got to make sure that if you, not JPEG, I'm sorry, but if you do a transparent text graphic file, excuse me, a PNG, then what would happen is you would have to actually create it in TV style and put the little bug in the corner for it to work. You can't just, send a PNG file over and place it. You got to make sure it's set for that area. So that's how you do the streaming. And that's how you do the layers and your logo if you need to change it. Appearance, again, we kind of went over that a little bit earlier with the borders and the audio. We've talked about this. This is not really anything you have to worry about. That's something, if you've got the IFB input device, you can utilize, but we don't use any of that at this point. Your audio is all right there. And then you've got the about and the exit. Your about has your key in it. So I think I've gone over a lot of that. I'm going to, again, talk a little bit about the PTZ controls. And again, up here, that's your camera controls. Once you get your presets set up, If you click on the little wheel, it's going to show you your presets. So again, it's a quick little hit. You don't actually have to hit anything. You could just, down here, it's all right there on your screen. And then if you want to adjust, click on the little slider bars. It's going to bring up the PTZ, which allows you to do pan and tilt, and zoom controls right next to it. So, and then you can also do a group one. I don't think the station's versions have that, so I won't go over that. Is there anything that I am missing, Brian?
No, I don't think so. And I'm sure if people are new to this, it's information overload. So don't be afraid to reach out if you have any specific questions. We can certainly jump in and help. But it's a fantastic tool, and once you get used to it, it's actually pretty easy.
And Ted, to answer your question there, the persistent stream key is once you get, and Chris kind of answered it here, but for everybody who was not monitoring the stream, the chat, that way all you have to do is hit start on this every single time. But if you don't use a persistent stream key, you have to actually paste the stream key into the settings every single time. If you use a persistent stream key, it's always the same. You just hit start. How long are you streaming local
Sean,
content and overall? Yes.
Yeah, so my time has come. It's been a pleasure. This has been a great training session. Sean, clearly you know what you're doing and you're a great resource. So people, please feel free to learn from Sean. Send me an email. There are some videos up on pro.jvc.com. I believe they are also on the Dropbox I have set up for Gray TV. So feel free to look for that. Again, as soon as I get the new software version and the training video on how to do picture-in-picture and split-screen editor, I will post those in the Dropbox. Otherwise, people feel free to send me emails, call me. I love what I do. I love helping out. I don't have every answer, but I will try like the dickens to get the answers I don't have.
Chris is a great resource, and the thing is, he's like me. He doesn't know how to shut off his phone. All right, so let me go back to some of these. I appreciate you, Chris. I really do.
Thanks, everybody.
So let me
have a good day.
Have a good one, bud. We're not done yet, so don't go anywhere, everybody else. I want to answer some of these questions here. Kenneth asked, are we using the audio board in the JVC program? No, only when we need to do the media. I shouldn't say no, just very, very little. We use the main audio board for our microphones, for our cameras, everything like that, for our cam input sources. Then we use it for we use the JVC version for the media and also to make sure our main pod is up that's coming out of the Behringer into the JVC. I hope that makes sense. Wondering if lower third should be larger because we are expecting viewers to watch on mobile devices. Honestly, you don't want them too big. In my opinion, you don't want them too big, and a lot of folks, if they're looking at their screen, it's generally right here anyway. So I have never had an issue doing this where folks have said I can't see what's on the text. Generally, they're pretty good about it. Robert, email Chris Lang on the Dropbox. He will be able to get that to you. How long are you streaming local content, and how long of a day do you stream all content? Brittany, actually, we haven't launched yet. We aren't doing any streaming just yet. We plan on doing local content all the time, unless there's, like, again, President Trump is speaking right now. We would stream President Trump, but if it's something small, if it's not, we have to use a judgment. Like if there's a local event that's more important than the president speaking, then we have to make those judgment calls here on our level. But we generally want to do local content over the national content or the president speaking, if possible. It just depends on obviously the topic and how much of an impact it has on the nation generally. But overall, most of our content, if you guys send us stuff, we're going to want to use it all the time. What other questions do folks have? Please come on in and drop in your questions. I'd love to hear your questions. And, well, by the way, we have a great staff here, folks from all over the nation. Love them. They've been great. Brittany asks, once you start things up, how long do you generally think you stream a day? We're going to ramp it up. We're going to start off with basically a regular business day, and then we want to continue to, like, our first day that we're going to do something thing is going to be Inauguration Day. We're actually working with Great Advanced Sustenance folks. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to ramp up the hours after that. So like maybe from 6 a.m. to midnight is our goal to provide content. But again, we got to get to that point. There's a lot of training. There's a lot of things that we got to plan. So we're working on that. Hopefully we'll get to that point soon. Sarah and Jared, thank you. Really appreciate you guys joining. What other questions you guys have, folks, about the JVC? Any questions about the JVC? Did I go over something too quickly that you aren't sure about or have questions? We're journalists. No question is dumb. Every question is very welcome and very needed. So please don't hesitate to drop one in the chat or unmute yourself. Not seeing anybody. Let me go. Okay, while I've got you here, folks, again, the local news live folks we're in here, we're training, we're getting ready to do this. What we are doing, and if you didn't hear my spiel earlier, is that we are launching a 24-hour national news channel, but it's a digital news channel, and it's going to be on your websites. So what's going to happen is when you're done with the newscast, when you are not live at your OTT desk, we'll be there. With national events going on. We're also going to be hooking up our Unity system. We're going to have a squawk box within the station, within your stations through Unity, where we're going to be able to get on and say, hey, we're going to go live to President Trump speaking right now at a Save America rally, or we're about to go live to another station with the governor's news conference. We're going to go live next. But we need to know what you guys are doing. We want to focus on you and your content and your people. So if you let us know you're going to be live on the OT, like Jeremy right here. Jeremy is live right now on the East Texas Now local news live desk. We've taken a couple of things during our practices to him. He's anchoring it, and that's okay. We want him to anchor the coverage over us anchoring it, because you guys know the content, you guys know the stories better than we do. So we want you to do the storytelling. We're going to be that vessel for it to be national. We're going to pitch to you. We're going to fill in the gaps between live events with our anchors and our producers. But you are the storytellers, and you deserve the recognition nationally and that's why we're going to give you that platform. Will there be a master training document PDF on the JVC? Yes, Patrick, there is one. It's under the teams for the JVC rollout, the OTT desk rollout. All right. Will there be a schedule so that we can know what to transition to at a specific time? Brittany, no, it's all going to be stitched in on its own. So when your newscast is over or when you're not live, it's automatically going to switch over. You don't have to worry about it. And when it comes to schedule or an event, we will let you know via email, or if it's a big event like we're going to take this live, we'll send out an email. We'll get on the Unity squawk box and we'll say we're going to this next. And then on you to watch, and you can find out.
Hey,
and we hope you
Sean, this is Brittany.
Yes.
You've been very helpful. I just had a question in regards to, I wanted to play videos like back to back. So transitioning, some tips for that, just, hey, we're going to play this video next, because sometimes I use camera 4, which is the monitor, to go back to videos. And so sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to, transition to it. So if you could give me some tips on how to make a smooth transition to the different videos.
And that's where we get back into the playlist. So if we go into our main media video file, like let's say here's Biden, I want to add that to a playlist. And no, I honestly have not used the playlist that often. You can actually trim in here too. That's a little bit out. Brian, can you help out with that just a little bit better? Because I honestly, when playing video, I have not done a lot of that.
Sure. I don't. I'm just seeing you though. I don't see the JVC thing.
Oh, hold on. Let me fix that then.
But basically, yeah, if you want to play multiple videos back to back, the playlist is the easiest way to do that. And there's just when you ingest the video into the system, there's a little, I forget what the shape is, if it's an arrow or a plus sign. But you click on that, and it gives you the option to create the playlist. I don't know why I can't see your JVC program.
I'm seeing it. I'm sorry.
There we go. So can you go back to media?
There we go.
Yeah, so if you see this little plus with a piece of paper on it, if you click on that, that is it will say, okay, do you want to make a playlist? You can make a test playlist, say create, and then after you say create, then let's just pick another random video, hit that plus sign again, and you want to add it to test. I think you double click it, and then you would go to playlist, the tab playlists, and then you'll see it's there, and then you see that little arrow, the little 3 button. Yeah, so there's all your videos, and you can just hit play, and then you have the option to pause in between them if you want, or just let them roll. And that would be the quickest way to do back-to-backs. Just keep in mind, we found when doing these live streams, it's actually more helpful if you do interrupt the videos and come back in between and explain. And just, we do a lot of repeating on our streams because people are coming in and out, and we're never assuming that they're watching the whole thing from start to finish. So we actually like to kind of just, okay, here's where we are. Again, if you're just joining us, this is what we're doing. So just like you, Sean, we rarely use this playlist feature.
Yeah, we use it very, very seldomly, and honestly, the OTT is more meant for live events, more meant for doing the Christmas parade during the holiday season, more for the multiple protests or multiple camera angles on a protest, multiple angles, or election day. Prime example, you can actually utilize your touchscreen very well for election day, and you could have the results coming in on your ticker on your board. So it's mainly for live events, but I know many of you want to branch out. So I would definitely say play around with it and learn it, and it will be a lot better. Or you'll be a lot better at it once you play around with it. Let me
Hey,
hit
Sean,
that
my
button.
other question was
I know a lot of folks are.
basically with the ingesting, you're ingesting video. I guess I'm confused as far as I get video from like CNN. So I'm just going off of CNN News Source or NBC, basically just off the internet. Is there a way that you guys are talking about to ingest that and to create a playlist?
Are you talking about a live stream, or are you talking about just a recorded package?
A recorded package.
Oh yeah, all you have to do is download it and then drop it into your media folder. So here's the media. Under the media, just like you're exporting to your shared drive so you can play it in your newscast, you'll have a shared drive for your JVC. So under media, if you click select media directory, it'll tell you which folder, or if you actually hit open media directory, it'll automatically open up the folder in which all that media is dropped in. All you have to do is drag and drop it into that folder, and there it is.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Any questions at all, folks?
Oh, I have
Come
another
on.
question. I heard you
Yes.
guys playing music in between. How did you do that?
Say that one more time, sorry.
You guys were like playing like news music, I believe, in between. I seen there was something on camera for it was from another station and they do OTT and they were kind of playing like the transition music. Is there a way we could do that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have an external MP3 player, or some stations use their Mac Mini too. If you have a playlist on your Mac Mini and you've got your Mac Mini routed into your audio board, you can hit play on your Mac Mini and it'll play that music, and you can fade it out if you need to. But yes, you do have that capability. Make sure it's cleared though, with your music package that you have. Or it doesn't have to be the Mac Mini. You can have something else, like, again, a CD player or another computer or an iPad or whatever it may be plugged into it. It is capable. You just have to make sure it's a source on your Behringer audio board. Any other questions? We've got time. I slated this to go for another 15 minutes.
Did you explain at the beginning of the meeting, like most of us have 4 sources and you've got 6? How is that?
I'm sorry, say that one more time, please.
You've got 6 sources up there. You've got camera 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We only have 4 on ours. Is that?
Yeah, at the beginning, we have a little bit more of we have a different version than most stations because we have to have multiple sources for what we're doing. But yeah, this is the version 6,000. You guys have the 4,000. That's why it looks a little bit differently than what you've got.
Okay, that's what I figured. I was just checking.
Appreciate the question, though. Good question.
Is there a place that, especially when the broadcasts go live directly to the website, is there a place that will house them for later clipping if there was an interview or something that you want to put with a web story later, or will that all have to be set up in Video Center and ARC, or what's the solution there?
You actually, if you're going into your sync back, you're going to be automatically streaming to your website. Depending on which version of SyncBack you have, if you're on Stream 1 or Stream 2, both of them are 24-hour recorded. So in ARC, if you don't have it set up to be recorded, it's still going to be there under the basically the TiVo version, or where you could just basically go back and look at the past hour, 2 hours. There's a training in ARC on how you can utilize that service, so where everything's recorded, you just have to go back and search for it.
Yeah, as long as that's routed into ARC, and this is Glenn, by the way, as long as that's routed into ARC, it's recording now up to 7 days. So you can go back and get the previous 7 days, even if you didn't have it set up to record that in your scheduler. But making sure it's routed into ARC is the key.
And most stations with their sync back is automatically, so you might want to check with the digital manager just to be on the safe side. But your OTT desk should always be routed to, in my advice, I'm not telling you how to do it, but my advice is always have your OTT desk routed to your TVU grid, your live link grid, and then obviously sync back too on your router, so you can make sure it is getting to your website. Because when you go live on your OTT desk, you should definitely want to be live on your website. So when you set out a push alert, you can send people to your website. You're getting the web traffic there. Any other questions about Local News Live or the JVC?
Hey, Sean, I just have questions on if you could just provide some tips for those who are new on the OTT desk, just as far as multitasking, what works best for you, and say you do pull up something that is wrong. How do you go about, just telling the viewers, it's not what I meant to do, just some tips if you can give some.
Yeah, absolutely. So the JVC, this is, if you have somebody who's worked in your newsroom that has been in radio, they're a good person to pick their brain on how do you make this continue, even though you've said everything in the first 15 seconds. It's going to take a lot of ad-libbing skills. It's going to take a lot of practice. And one thing is actually sitting down and doing it. That's the best advice I could give to anybody, is you sit down, you do it, you sit there. I mean, on your drive home, you can commentate your drive home. Passing Burger King over here, looks like they've got 2 people in the line, and whatever you make it up, but just have fun learning to continue to talk. I know my children would probably say, Dad, stop talking, but in this instance, you need to talk. So I would say practice it on your drive home. If you're just sitting and watching a live event at home, hit mute and commentate it yourself. The thing is repeat yourself. People are joining all the time. So some people in the beginning, like we heard earlier, is I missed that at the beginning, repeat it again. So don't feel bad about repeating yourself, and give yourself the ability, like if it's a political event, you've got tweets you can pull up. If it's an event, a sporting event, you've got tweets you can pull up. Don't hesitate to utilize your Mac Mini to pull up Twitter, to pull up whatever you've got at your fingertips. Now, again, be careful what you use and click, because again, it's a live stream. So try to pre-screen it before you put it on air. But being in radio, I've learned that the gift of gab is something that is, it's a trait that not a lot of people have, but it can be taught. And you just have to teach yourself to continue to talk, even though you've said everything already. The other tips is, we had I want to point you again to Tyler, Texas. I want to point you again to Brian Sinclair. And I'm going to have Brian talk again here in a minute. And then also, if you look at the WIBW Facebook page, those are some examples of how we've done it. Like, for example, Governor Kelly, I was on a Facebook Live. Governor Kelly was supposed to start at 1 o'clock. She didn't get there till 28 after, and I started the stream at 5 before 1 o'clock like I normally do. So ad-libbing is, pull up your website, read your web content if you need to, that's associated with what you've got coming up. If it's COVID related, you've got a COVID map. You can actually use the Mac Mini, show the content on your touchscreen app, like the numbers that we have on there. You can actually pull it up live, a full screen on here, and go over the numbers that you have county, for your state, for whatever. You could pull up all those sources. So have some stuff in your pocket and ready to go just in case it doesn't start on time. Brian, what advice do you have?
I think everything you said is spot on. I would say if you're first starting out too, make it easier on yourself by either picking an event that you know is going to happen and you can toss to it in a relatively short amount of time, and then you can do whatever you need to do on the back end rather than trying to stretch to get to the front end. The other thing, we just did this, we just ended a stream about 30 seconds ago where the whole thing was the person at the OTT desk was tossing to a reporter. The reporter was interviewing a police chief, and we were watching dash cam video live together for the first time. And that's something where it's a very simple event to set up, but you've now got 3 people involved. Everybody gets to talk, and you don't feel like you have to carry the whole thing the whole time. And I'm not sure how your newsroom is set up, but our desk is right in the middle of the newsroom. And so if we've had instances where we've started early, just like Sean said, we were expecting something to happen, it isn't, and you can tell that the person is going to need some help at some point, and we'll grab file packages, file sound, something that we can quickly throw in that folder, and then we kind of have it down to we don't even have to say anything. The person just knows when we've added stuff, and they can go there, pull it up, and ad-lib around that. So, yeah, I mean, practice makes perfect. Just pick something, start simple, and it'll come pretty quickly. It usually takes about a week or two, and you feel pretty comfortable.
One thing I will say, though, don't be discouraged if it doesn't go how you expect. That's how this happens. And there's going to be times you're like, I don't have that ready. It's okay to look down and say, hey, I'm going to pull this up really quick and explain what you're pulling up as you are. I think there's a tweet from the governor. I'm going to go ahead and go over here, and I'm going to find that tweet so we can pull it up. And as I do, I'm going to go over some of the things that have been said in that tweet, but before I pull it up. Don't hesitate to, this is a live event. People are actually a lot more understanding and a lot more forgiving if you actually explain what you're doing as it's happening, because it kind of puts them in the know of what you're doing. It kind of gives them a little bit of a behind the scenes look, like, there's more, I can do more, just give me a second, and they're pretty understanding. So don't hesitate, and don't be discouraged if it doesn't go right the first time, the second time, the third time, or the 100th time, because there'll be times you mess up and you just get right back on that horse and continue to ride. So make sure that you just don't get discouraged and keep trying, because that's the main thing. That you get better as you continue to do it. So don't be scared. If you see something going on, you're like, oh man, that's a great opportunity for a live. I need to go get on the OTT desk. Jump on it. Get over there. Get on that desk. Fire it up. Get it going. And I don't know how your workflow is in your newsroom. Alert the masses that you need to, so you can get it up and running and just have fun with it. That's how this is going to work. It's going to take people in the newsroom to get up and say, I'm going to do this. And that's exactly what I did. And it's exactly how I learned this system. I watched Chris Lang's video, but it actually took me sitting down and really just punching the buttons and breaking a couple things. Now, don't actually physically break anything, but troubleshoot yourself to get back to where you need to. So, sit down, play with it, have fun with it. And just remember, it is a fun tool. It is the next wave of what we are doing digitally and also in the television world. So it's a great asset to have. What other questions you guys have?
Talking about pitching to a reporter out in the field, what are people doing for IFB?
Cell phone. And one thing is you've got a cell phone. If you know who the reporter is, you can kind of just call them, and they more than likely have earbuds anyways. They can put it in IFB that way, so they can hear the talk back. The other thing is the Unity system that your stations received or have received or should be receiving is another option for you. It's, again, cell phone based. So all you have to do is have the cell phone in and talk on the utilize the Unity, and you should be good to go there too.
Yeah, your phoners that are set up on your board, on the Behringer board, they can double as IFB. So if they call into those numbers, you pull up the live source, you don't pull up the phoner fader, but that's how we do it. And then you can also FaceTime and Zoom. I mean, the whole world does that now anyway, so it's a great tool for the digital desk as well.
Another thing is if you've got a reporter out there that's Facebook Living, and mind you, they don't have a TVU with them, you can actually pull up on your Mac Mini their Facebook Live, get on your OTT desk, send out a push alert saying we're going live to that event. It's the same thing. You could still utilize, they're still talking on their Facebook Live, and it's just like having a reporter in the field, even though they've already been talking for a little while. So don't hesitate to also utilize your own reporters' Facebook Lives during a breaking news event to put on your OTT desk.
With the Zooms and that kind of stuff, you're listening through the JVC system then, or through the mixer?
It would be through your Mac Mini.
Okay.
Yeah, you would want to have Zoom, and that's what I've got right now. I've actually got Teams on the Mac Mini and the JVC. I've got the one on the JVC showing what's on the screen here, the actual JVC screen, and then on the Mac Mini, I've got my audio piping through. So if I turn off my share, let me turn off my screen share here. You can see, no, you can't see me, not yet. Here we go. So the camera that I've got set up, and it should be showing, I don't think it is. Oh, that's why. I've got the wrong source potted up. There we go. Hi. The JVC, anything program out from the JVC is going through the Mac Mini so you can see what's being pulled up. But as you can see, I've got the Mac, I'm on this camera. It's the studio camera. I'm piped in. I've got the microphone on here. Everything's piped through the Mac Mini, through your setup, the audio setup and the video setup. Anybody else have any other questions? Well, okay, folks, I think we are good to go. If you have questions, do not hesitate to email me. The staff here, news@localnewslive.com is also another way to get a hold of any of my staff on what we're doing here on the Local News Live level. For any questions about JVC, Chris Lang is actually put his email address in there. He's with JVC. He will answer your questions. He's very receptive to questions. Brian Sinclair, thank you so much. He is also available, I'm sure, if you send him a message. But don't hesitate to reach out. We want to see you succeed with this, and that's why we're doing these trainings. That's why we're helping out as much as possible, because Gray's put a major investment into this project for not only Local News Live, but your stations. And so they want to see you succeed. They're going to give you the tools to succeed, and we want to work together because it's all going to work out. So really excited about what we're doing, and I hope you guys are too. So don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, folks, have a great day and have a great 2020. I'm going to put on my Star Wars mask and get back to work. So enjoy your day, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
21. Oh my God, let's not repeat 2020.